All right, welcome back to MurrayMax. We have a new Charlie Kirk video that just came out a few hours ago. The topic of this one is the defunding of Harvard and defending Trump's decision to do so due to their disagreements and unwillingness to abide by federal DEI policies. So, as usual, we're watching this together, so let's have a look.
How are you doing, Charlie? Welcome to Long Beach, first thing I want to say. My disagreement here would be the defunding of Harvard. I want to know your legal justification for defunding Harvard.
First of all, is that a Harris Walls hat?
It is, yes. How about this? If you beat me, I'll change it.
No, it's fine. No, it's funny. It's kind of like seeing all like the losers of the Super Bowl hats, like that get sent to those African villages.
I know, yeah, no, it is.
It's like all those like Buffalo Bills Super Bowl champion hats
seen that, yeah.
that just disappear. Why is any college entitled to federal money?
Okay, so that's a good question. So first of all, medical research. So the majority of the money that goes to Harvard is medical research. And so they are a huge portion of research, Harvard especially. But then I want to get into the legal justification of it. So I think it's dumb, but I want to more focus on the legal justification of it.
Well, no college has to get money from the government.
No,
it's
100%,
done, right?
of
So
course. But you have a
justification.
reasoning for defunding Harvard, all right? And so
Several, correct.
Yes, correct.
So, but let's first get our facts right. What is the endowment of Harvard?
Okay, so the endowment of you want to clarify that? What are you talking about here?
Do you know what an endowment is?
I don't know what an endowment is. What is endowment of Harvard? Yeah.
Okay, so an endowment is like think of it as a savings account.
Got it. Yep.
So Harvard has the largest savings account of any college.
Of course, yes.
How much money do you think that is in their savings account?
A substantial number. 100%.
How much? What guess? What?
Couple $1 trillion.
Okay, it's not that big, but it's
okay.
55. It's not that big.
Okay.
They're not a country, but it's $55 billion.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, so therefore,
Could you imagine, though, if Harvard had a couple $1 trillion in their bank account and they were complaining about federal money?
If a college has $55 billion,
Yep.
Why do they need more money from taxpayers?
I think they need more money from taxpayers because they are making several improvements, especially in the medical field, and they are pushing society forward.
Why can't they use their $55 billion in the bank account?
Okay, so how about this? Then why do they have to give their information? So let's talk about their research and their data. I think the first thing that we should agree is that there is no bad data. Every data that we have is an increase in knowledge, and we can't have bad data. So it would seriously hurt the government if they give all of their data and all of their information to the public prior, especially on research and cancer and all this kind of stuff. Do you agree that the government wants, and this is what happens right now, they want to receive that data before the rest of the public? It is super important that the government receives that data prior to the public.
Not necessarily. I think actually open source data is a great way to go. I mean, if we're financing it, why shouldn't the whole world know about it?
Well, the whole world does know about it, but the government needs to know about it first because they need to. That's a very crucial thing. But again, I want to stick to the point here. So the big reasoning.
No, but I want to just make sure that we're clear.
Okay.
They're sitting on a $55 billion cash pile.
Correct.
Yeah, and they get $2 billion a year.
Yes.
Maybe they should just tap some of the $55 billion they have to fund all of their
And they do.
Their programs.
They don't completely use federal funding. They don't only use federal funding.
They actually have not dipped into their endowment. It actually grows every single year. But anyway, back to the legal justification.
Okay.
Harvard is in blatant violation of federal law.
Okay.
Something else I'd like to note here that people don't really talk about, in addition to the mishaps with people like Claudine Gay, who was only in her position because she had straight up stolen things to be able to justify her position. They also are a university that gave a personal office to Jeffrey Epstein after he had already found himself in legal trouble for Epstein Island related things. This is a university that clearly is in cahoots with terrible, terrible people. So they should have had funding cut already just for being who they are and with their leadership and organizational chart they have with their hierarchy over there. They needed a whole top to bottom. Harvard's not, it's always going to have an association to being a prestigious university, but I personally wouldn't have the same pride now of having a degree from Harvard as I would have 20, 30 years ago.
The federal law, so I'm assuming you're referring to the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
Well, because it's the Student for Fair Admissions Supreme Court case, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Of course.
Right? They are in direct violation of accommodating black and Hispanic students at the expense of white and Asian students, and they continue to push forward affirmative action, acceptance, and hiring practices, which is in defiance of the Supreme Court, breaking federal law. And when you break federal law, you should not get federal money. Pretty
okay,
simple.
but the Trump administration has said that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and anti-Semitic practices have been the reason for the defunding of Harvard. So that's the thing. It'd be they're in violation of Title VI under the
amongst many things. The strongest of all of the president's claims is the violation of the 14th Amendment and the Supreme Court decision a couple years ago, the Students for Fair Admissions. Harvard is in violation of that. They've acknowledged they are in violation of
yes,
that.
Agreed.
They brag about it.
Okay.
So when you're in violation of the Supreme Court, your federal money will be not
but
sent to you.
let me ask you this. So the Trump administration in 2019, they passed the executive decision to add religion to Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So in 1964, would you agree that religion was not at all included in Title VI? And so my first question is, because it wasn't explicitly included in Title VI, but it was explicitly included in Title VII, how can the executive office interpret this as to wanting to include religion?
It has nothing to do with. We're talking past each other.
No,
right?
it absolutely
The core
does.
complaint is the violation of the Supreme.
DEI, yes, the DEI as an admission.
Right, no, but I mean, so you asked, what is the legal justification? Very
Okay.
simple. When you defy the Supreme Court, you no longer get money.
But at the same time, the Trump administration, by passing this executive order to count religion into the Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, that is going against the Constitution. As it's first thing I want to get to is, can you agree that in 1964 they intentionally did not include religion into Title VI, which is education. That's education as a whole, into the Civil Rights Act.
Yes, correct.
Yes. Okay. So perfect. So then, why do you think that we are currently interpreting the addition of?
I'm not even getting into that's actually probably the White House's weakest claim. They made about 10 claims against Harvard.
Yeah.
The strongest claim, of which I will continue to rest on, is they're violating federal law. They're violating the Supreme Court.
I mean, that's pretty binary. The federal law has been decided. The Supreme Court has decided it. Whenever the left wants something that Trump is doing to change, if there's ever any kind of court case that's settled, whether it's someone from El Salvador that's being sent back or whatever, they scream from the rooftops about how a court decided. But then when it comes to things like the Supreme Court deciding something, it's very convenient how they go, yeah, well, that kind of doesn't matter. And it's like you're in direct violation of federal law. Like I said earlier, you're the same university that is in cahoots with and gives private offices to people like Jeffrey Epstein. And you're not ashamed of these kind of things. You don't want to change. Well, I hope that no tax dollar of mine ever goes to your university again. Let me know in the comments what you think.
Weakest of all their complaints is the one when it comes to anti-Semitism. By the way, they have a lot of anti-Semitism, but unfortunately in this country you're allowed to be a bigot and an anti-Semite.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
but the crispest allegation against Harvard is the fact that they keep on penalizing white and Asian students that want to go to Harvard.
Okay, yes, but but we're talking about the pro-Palestinian protest.
No, I got it. But you're talking about a 10-part charging document. Again, I think the audience agrees. You're not really listening to what I'm saying, right?
Okay, no, but but that's different. That's not why they're defunding Harvard. That's not why they're defunding Harvard.
Again, they put forward 10 complaints. I'm going after the top one. All right.
Okay.
Thank you for your time. And
yeah, and that pretty much wraps it up. The guy from the get-go kind of didn't know what he was talking about, but that's fine because he did have an argument that he brought and he was civil with it. I can live with that. However, this stuff has been decided. You were discriminating. You were forcing Asian and white students, especially the Asian students, to test much higher than other races, which is just a discriminatory practice. You're in direct violation of federal law. Hence, no more federal funding. I don't want to hear any complaints that the Jeffrey Epstein friendly university only has $55 billion sitting in a bank account, so they need more of our tax dollars. Boo-hoo, Crimea River. If you like these videos, be sure to follow for some more. Like the video if you like it. Otherwise, post in the comments any critiques or anything like that. I'll be pumping out some more videos every single day, so be sure to tune in. Thanks again for watching MurrayMax.